All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News. What's going on, bros and broads? How y'all doing? Good to see you. And where are we? What am I doing? Hello. Hello again. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for watching. There are so many options for your news these days, places to get information. So there's a lot to choose from. So thanks for choosing Black Bear News. You're too kind. Death Star Mike. One Death Star Mike to rule them all. All right. Let's think about something fun for a second. There's a meteor shower going on tonight, you guys. If you care to look up, so many, so many bad options. I don't know why that tickled me. That's funny. So many bad options. It's true. You once took a meteor shower? Oh, all right. Yes, that's what's called a cleansing fire. Indeed. Yeah, no rinsing necessary. No, nothing really. You don't really have to even get undressed. You just stand there. Anyways, there's a meteor shower tonight, you guys. If you want to check it out. Um, generally August is a big time for meteor showers, but apparently there's going to be a full moon next week. You'll be playing Branson, Missouri. Say what? What's going on, Branson, Missouri? Yeah. Generally August is a big time for meteors. Next week there's supposed to be a full moon. So this week is actually when they might be more visible, and tonight is supposed to be a Washeki green. Yes. Branson, Missouri, and then old Nashville. On to Nashville. Chattanooga, and then a week straight in the Appalachians. Yeah. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try and check out some meteors myself. It's been fairly clear here. It's been a very strangely mild summer. Not, it's warm. It's not cold, but it hasn't been, blazing hot. Yes, yet. Vegetarians hate asteroids because they are meaty. Hasn't really been blazing hot, and it's been fairly clear. And they have, for whatever reason, stopped a lot of the contrail production. For whatever, I don't know what's going on with that, but there's been I think basically everybody is paying too much attention to what's going on with the contrails. So maybe they're trying to like phase that out, or trying to keep that to a dull roar, because people are just a little too aware. Snowing meteors. Yeah, our funding stopped, or maybe John. Yeah. So there's a lot less chemtrails or contrails in the sky, whatever you want to call them. So it should be nice and clear tonight, at least here. I don't know about where you are. Tonight's peak is the Southern Delta Aquariids and the Alpha Capricornids, and they reach their peak tonight into tomorrow. Say up to 20 to 30 meteors per hour can be viewed. So The advice is put your cell phone down, turn the screen off, and let your eyes adjust to the dark. There's a lot of ambient light here, though, from the city, so it's probably going to get, I might be able to see a few more from where I'm at, but LA is so bright in general. You have to go on top of a mountain or get out of the city, a few miles to get away from all the, just the lights. Yeah. Tourids are in October. Okay. Leonids, November. I got it. Got to get up at 5 a.m. if I want to work in the garden, so might as well make it 4 for the meteors. There you go, Poppy. Missouri is terrible for stargazing. Yeah. Right on. Okay, so that's happening. Y'all check out the meteors if you can. In China, they've had some terrible floods, and this has been going on for many years. Weeks. Sorry, not years. But over the what I meant to say, I had several thoughts happening in my head at the same time. Does that ever happen to you? It happens to me all the time. Over the last few years, the number of catastrophic floods in China has completely went off the charts. 100-year flood every year. That's basically what I'm trying to say, Bella. But over the last few weeks, they have had an enormous amount of flooding, and it just seems to be going on and on and on. It feels like it's been more than a month and a half of severe flooding in China and that region in general, and they just seem to be getting hit every day or every other day with massive flooding, and they got hit again. Massive flooding in Beijing. 30 confirmed dead, over 80,000 people evacuated, 31 roads damaged, power outages in 136 villages. They have allocated 50 million, or the equivalent of $50 million for relief. 38 now. The death toll is now up to 38. But they have just been getting slammed. And I'm sure Trump is behind this. He's doing it. No, I don't think they thought about flood control. I don't think they've thought about that, but I don't know how there's also the fact that I don't think you're going to escape this. This might have been something to think about, 30 or 40 years ago when people were planning out their cities. And I'm talking about anywhere in the world, not just China. But people didn't plan for this level of climate mayhem. They didn't think that it was going to come. They didn't see it coming. They didn't, factor it in. And now it's here. And now, going forward, you can factor it in as in, do I want to live here anymore? When I move somewhere, am I going to be high enough that I will not be flooded out, and or will I be in an area that will not be burned out, or will I be in an area that will not be, whatever it might be? So that is happening. That's happening, there and all over the place. No, you guys are right. There's nowhere to hide. Nowhere is safe. Which is starting to, that prediction is starting to come true, right? People predicted that a long time ago. And over the last, 5 to 10 years, people have started to say, this, you are going to be affected by this. And now we are seeing a period in time on the planet when you are going to be affected by this. It doesn't matter where you are or what you are doing, you are going to be affected. So I don't know how you mitigate for that. I think you just have to have it in the back of your mind that, this is possible. Some form of calamity is way more possible than it used to be. So be ready to bug. All right, we're going to switch gears and go to Whitney Webb. Still one of the best independent journalists out there. And they describe this post as mind-blowing. I don't think it's mind-blowing. I think it seems to make a lot of sense. And it seems on the surface pretty reasonable. So she's saying that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and RFK Jr. and these people that are fronting these agencies are just figureheads. They're talking heads. They're just there to, make, they're like your nightly news anchors. Like they might not be, they can speak well and they look good in front of the camera and they have some kind of name brand recognition, but they're not necessarily like the brightest people in the room or the most powerful people in the room. So what she's saying is not mind-blowing because generally the people in front of the cameras, the people in the front of the stage are not the main actors, right? The main actors are the ones behind the scenes. The main actors are the producers of the play, the funders of the play, the ones that control the curtains and the lights and all that kind of stuff. So, but we will, that's a good quote. We will listen to this or read through it, but she's just saying these people are here for purposes of maybe misdirection to make you feel better. And it works, right? To make people get on board with the Trump agenda or whatever that is.
My opinion generally is that some figures in the Trump administration were kind of chosen as a PR move and that they're not actually in charge of what they're nominally in charge of. So like Pete Hegseth, head of the Pentagon, he's kind of a Fox and Friends, he's a TV show host. And the deputy director of the Pentagon, Steve Feinberg of Cerberus Capital, is most likely the person actually running the Pentagon, not Hegseth, in my opinion. And I think that's true also for RFK Jr. in charge of HHS. I don't really think he's running. He's just kind of this figure that connected with Trump's base, particularly during the COVID era, and made them think reforms would come. And those reforms haven't really come, but he's kind of there to give the impression that things have changed. But the person behind him, the deputy secretary, is Jim O'Neill, who's a career affiliate of Peter Thiel, who's also the power behind J.D. Vance and, the man that made Palantir what it is. And so, I think it's just a way of sort of masking the people that are actually running stuff. And I think that's probably true, too, of Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who were basically out there. They were making the rounds on podcasts and were making these connections and building trust and relationships with the public in Trump space. But it seems like they're not actually running anything, in my opinion. They're kind of figureheads in a way, and they're willing figureheads, I would say.
There was that like hostage.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a whole interview there, I guess, with Rihanna and Whitney, which I may go back and listen to later. Yeah, and well, what you're saying makes sense, sure. But Palantir, I think the thing to, the one thing to maybe grasp onto in that whole little, the one thing to grab onto that in that thing is Palantir, right? It's Palantir. People that are connected to Palantir, people that are moving Palantir into position and or facilitating that seems to be the main thrust of almost everything that's going on. Like, sure, you have all these other stories about the budget and the bill and the Gaza and the wars and the Epstein files, but it seems like the main movement that needs to be focused on is the injection of Palantir and other AI. It's all I think it's all one big, personally, like, it's all one big AI web. It's all the same net. It's not Palantir and OpenAI and XAI and it, like, really, you have all these private companies that are somehow vying for government. Like, they're all in bed. They've been in bed. They're all fronts for the CIA or the NSA or whatever. They've all been funded by the military industrial complex. They've all, or DARPA or, right. So, all of these things are working together, and we're made to believe that somehow these are like independent startup companies that are, I wonder, where did I read? I was talking about, well, I'm going to read something else about Palantir, but they're framing Palantir as like a tech startup that pitched its services to the CIA. I'm just like, dude, no, the other way around. The other way around. It was the CIA that created Palantir as a front for the things that they were, they directly funded and or supplied Palantir with technology, or worked hand in hand with Palantir in creating this technology. And then, oh, what do you know? Palantir got a contract. That's how it went down. Like, anyways. And the same goes for all the other, Facebook and all these other early, Google and right. So, Palantir is a good buy if you want to, play the stock market and buy some Palantir. You probably would do pretty good for the. You probably should have done it 6 months ago, but probably would do pretty good for the year. But it's also like buying stock in oil companies, right? So you're directly contributing to the downfall of the human race. But you can make a little money while you're at it if that's what you want to do. By the way, guys, I saw this great freaking movie yesterday called Eddington. Has anybody seen this movie, Eddington? It's an Ari Aster film, and the first part of the I know, Poppy. What are you gonna do? the first interesting thing about this movie is that it's set in, the beginning of COVID, and it directly shows people talking about and wearing masks and talking about the masks and discussing. And what was striking to me about just that aspect of the movie, do you guys remember during COVID, all of the movies made, all of the TV shows made, everybody's sitting at home having to wear masks, but everybody on the screen was not wearing a mask. Like, everybody on screen was going about life as if life was normal. And I found that to be very freaking weird, because I was like, how come you're not reflecting, even in 2021, after the pandemic had been, right? And I get maybe people want to be, whatever, people want to be entertained and don't want to, they want an escapism and all that kind of stuff. But still, like, no movies or TV shows really were like showing mask wearing or reflecting what was happening in society, like, back to people. And I found it a little jarring. So when this film starts, and it starts right in, it's May 2020, it's the beginning of COVID, and people are like arguing with people about masks and you can't come into the store and all that kind of stuff. I was like, wow, this is the first time I can remember somebody actually intentionally reflecting, COVID back to people, like what was happening during COVID. Anyways, and it just goes on from there. And it's a pretty good depiction of the craziness. It's a good depiction of the craziness of COVID, but it actually takes you right up to the present day. Like, there's a lot of, I feel like it's a brilliant movie because it really reflects what's happening in society, and also what's happening kind of politically behind the scenes, right? There's absurdities, but there's also truisms in the absurdities, and they're really focusing on like conspiracy theories, but also the fact that those are kind of real. And it's just, I really recommend you go watch this movie. It's pretty good. Eddington, it's called. For whatever reason, it's gotten low ratings, and for whatever reason, it's not doing that well. I don't understand why. Maybe people are uncomfortable with the subject matter. Like, maybe people don't want to relive COVID. Maybe people don't want to go back or maybe people don't really want to think, again, escapism. Like, people don't want to think about what's really happening to them in the real world. I guess you get enough of that on your phone on the daily anyways. And from those bad news outlets. Anyways, I thought it was good, and I don't know, just really well done. It's also a little bit shocking and jarring, and there's some gore and very rough things happening towards the end of the movie, but I'm sure we're all adults here, right? Anyways, moving on. Here's the post about Palantir. Always talking about CIA can't operate without it, Pentagon can't function without it, and Wall Street can't trade without it. Yet most people have no idea what Palantir does behind closed doors. Here's how the U.S. government allowed a $300 billion surveillance company to track your every move. Allowed. The premise of this post I find disturbing, because they're talking about it as if, it was just this tech startup, and they weren't profitable for 17 years, but now look at them now. Like, dude, why do you think they were allowed to not be profitable for 17 years? Like Amazon, they had subsidies. They were carried the entire time they were not profitable. Why? Because there is a greater agenda at play in having these companies be rolled out and be successful. They're not really companies, honestly. I think they're just basically government partnerships. Palantir is the most powerful company you've never heard of. It's used to hunt terrorists. Whoa. Predict wars. Really? Spy on employees? You don't say. Prevent crashes. That's laughable. Really? They're going to prevent Wall Street crashing? Okay. Win F1 races. By the end of this thread, you'll realize it might be watching you too. Oh no. Tell me something I don't know already. Oh, sorry, you can't see it. Hello. There we go. It all started after 9/11. Of course it did. So this is interesting. I'm going to stop right there because anybody familiar with Rebecca Roth and one of the many 9/11 investigators out there? She did extensive she did extensive work on uncovering like all the companies that were behind many of the different aspects of 9/11, and one of those companies was Palantir. So Palantir was directly involved with 9/11. They weren't just like standing around like, oh gosh, if only we could have predicted what. No, they were in on it. So the very start of this thread has some not misinformation, but misinformed misinformation. I don't know. Is there a better way to put that? Misinformation, I guess. Some convenient untruths. Peter Thiel had one mission: build software that stops terrorists before they strike, even though they were part of 9/11. VCs thought it was paranoid. Too risky, too weird, you say. Then the CIA stepped in with $2 million in funding. Oh, really? Palantir's first client was America's spy agency. Oh, and perfect partnership was born. So what does Palantir actually do? It tracks everything: phone logs, content, license plates, bank records, surveillance feeds. Then it finds hidden patterns and predicts what you'll do before you do it. Palantir sells two products, and both are terrifyingly powerful. Gotham for militaries, police, and intelligence agencies. Think of it as Google for spies. It can map terrorist networks, track targets in real time, uncover hidden relationships. This is the software that helped hunt down Osama bin Laden. Oh my God. Okay, so first of all, terrorism is not a thing. Terrorism is something that we made up in order to create a boogeyman, to have a reason to go fight endless wars, and to create endless funding for companies like Palantir. So it's like it's a chicken and the egg kind of thing, but they're saying, well, terrorism is why we need this. No. You need terrorism as a reason for this to exist. So you made up the terrorism, and then you made this up in order for this to go forward. Bullshit, which is so, they're here to help fight terrorism is no. And then the fact that they tracked Osama bin Laden is just freaking funny, because Osama bin Laden was most likely dead already. He wasn't the one who masterminded 9/11. You know, he wasn't behind 9/11. They didn't kill him and then throw him into the ocean. Like that whole everything about that story is completely and utterly fake. So no, they didn't track Osama bin Laden. They tracked, Osama number 5, and 4 and 3 and 2. Right? They tracked all his, his clones. Put him on camera. Remember when CNN went to go visit Osama bin Laden in a cave? Where did they find him? He's so elusive. Oh, CNN, hi. We found him. He's over here in a cave. Obama number 6. Or Osama number 6. Not Obama. But there probably are several Obamas too. All right, Scott. Foundry is one of the other things they provide. It unifies all your messy internal data, finance, logistics, HR, supply chain into a single interface. Then it lets companies build apps on top of that data. Airbus uses it to predict failures. Ferrari uses it to win races. Hospitals use it to forecast ICU demand. Whoa. You mean like during COVID? Whoa. But that's pretty effective. In 2012, Palantir partnered with New Orleans police. They crunched arrest records and gang affiliations, then quietly flagged high-risk individuals for future crimes. No oversight, no consent. Because who needs oversight or consent? Not Palantir. JP Morgan used Palantir to spy on employees. Emails, web browsing, badge swipes, phone calls. Even executives were tracked without authorization. Nothing inside the building was private. Palantir isn't just surveillance for governments, it's surveillance for everyone. Here's the wild part. Or not that wild. It's not that wild. I think everybody's just listening, Pape. Or, Palantir wasn't profitable for 17 years. Sounds like some other companies that weren't profitable for a long stretch of time. But now, by golly, they're burning up the charts with the number 1 hit single. Watch me do everything in private, baby. Yeah, lurkers are going to lurk. Lurkers be lurking. Now, Palantir is worth $300 billion, as much as Bank of America, and is deeply embedded across hospitals, militaries, and federal agencies. Yay! And 2025 changed everything. How? In March 2025, Trump signed an executive order. Every federal agency must now share their data. Did you guys know about this? Did you know? Did you? Tax records, health data, immigration files, surveillance logs. Palantir's Foundry is integrating it all. America is becoming one massive database, and Wall Street loves it. Yay! Get you some Palantir stock today, guys. Come on, boys and girls. Palantir stock is outpacing the S&P 500. Investors don't just see a tech company, they see a new kind of infrastructure. Wow. Like what? Why is nobody scared or worried about this? This is just good for, investors, right? It's just a good financial play. I don't get it. They see a new kind of infrastructure. It's no longer a controversial startup. It's the backbone of America's surveillance machine, which everybody wants, right? Everybody just wants America's surveillance machine to go forward. I don't get it. I still don't get it. I don't get people that are excited about AI. I don't get I don't get people that are excited about robots and the frothing at the mouth financial guys that are like, "Ooh, this is going to be great." No, it's not going to be great, yo. It's like people, are you guys excited about private prisons? Or is that something you do, not on screen? To the financial dudes out there, right? Like, the private prison stock is going up too, right? And I bet you're investing in that too, financial guys. But you're not like talking about that when you're doing your little financial podcasts and streams. You're not talking about how what's the name of some of these companies? You're not excited about their meteoric rise in stock price. Had to slip in the word meteor and the wrong use of it. But how can you get excited about investing in things that are going to enslave people? I just don't. How can you get excited? What exactly, Poppy? Investing in water, water rights, water claims. Get in on the ground floor, every people. How can you get excited about investing in something that's going to enslave humanity or destroy it completely or put, entire legions of people out of work? How is that exciting? I don't understand. How is that going to be a good thing? And it still boggles my mind that people are excited about, AI as a, it's going to be a tool of the future and it's going to be great. No, it's not going to be great. It's not going to be great. This is going to be used against you. This is going to be used to enslave you, to take away to strip your rights away, to turn you into a criminal or a fugitive or a compliant slave. That's what it's going to be used for. Don't be freaking excited about it right now. Like, don't. But I don't know. Anyways. Boeing uses it to track debris. Yeah. Anyways, wasn't that an informative or not very informative post or whatever? But this, this is frightening and probably the most frightening development of our recent times, to say the least. Palantir is worth more than Home Depot, Procter & Gamble, Bank of America, Coca-Cola. The thing is that this, if anything, this is not like, yeah, they're privatizing government surveillance. Basically, they're outsourcing or public-private partnershiping surveillance, but it's not. It's all that. This is all socialism or communism, right? The worst kind of communism or socialism, because the government funded this and carried them the entire that entire 17 years they were carried by whoever until they were profitable. And now look at them, they're just a profitable startup. No startup would have survived that. No real startup, no startup operating on, in the rough and tumble world of actual capitalism. No. Palantir's secret, a 45% spike in U.S. government surveillance contracts in just one quarter. Surveillance is America's new frontier. My God. Yep. Poppy Davis. That's right. That's right. At least one of the places. Right. Catherine Austin Fitz, very famously, a few days or weeks ago, said, well, she was talking about Epstein, but Epstein is very much linked to Peter Thiel and all these. He's linked to intelligence. So she thinks he was instrumental or very much all up in the missing money. The missing $21 trillion or whatever the sum is. CEOs are extremely excited about the opportunities that AI brings. Elijah Clark. This is by More Perfect Union, a fully mask-off moment. Elijah Clark is a CEO who advises other head honchos on using AI at their companies. As a CEO myself, I can tell you I'm extremely excited about it. I've laid off employees myself because of AI. AI doesn't go on strike. It doesn't ask for a pay raise. He added parroting cliched talking points, much like a certain overhyped technology. These things that you don't have to deal with as a CEO. Again, I don't really understand the end goal here. I'm a little confused about the end goal when everybody's out of, doesn't have a job and out of work. Are we all supposed to live on UBI? And I think that's what people are afraid of, is that there'll be a tipping point in the economy and in the workforce where, a lot of things will be automated. A lot of people will not be working. Or are they just going to let people go, right? And what I mean by go is go off the planet. Like, sorry, we're going to have to let you go. Like, no, there's not going to be any money for food or shelter. Sorry, we're going to have to let you go. Is that what they're thinking? Me wonders. You can also use AI to build a website. Did y'all see this? That a foundation tied to Jeffrey Epstein won a lottery ticket after he was jailed? Epstein won an $85 million jackpot while in prison. In August 2008, shortly after Epstein began serving an 18-month jail term in Florida, the Zorro Trust, remember Zorro Ranch, people? Y'all know what's up with Zorro Ranch. The Zorro Trust claimed a winning Powerball ticket purchased at a convenience store in Altus, Oklahoma for an $85 million jackpot. $85 million jackpot, receiving approximately $30 million after taxes as a lump sum. Epstein had a financial entity named Zorro Trust, which he used for donations to politicians in New Mexico, where he owned a property called Zorro Ranch. The timing of the win, one day after Epstein's incarceration, began on July 1st, 2008, and a reported computer glitch that delayed the televised lottery draw fueled suspicions of fraud or money laundering. Somebody says he actually won twice. So, what do you think this is? A payoff? Right. Sorry, you got to take a rap. Yeah, we're going to have to, we got to we gotta slap you on the wrist. You're gonna have to do some very minimal time. Don't worry about it, and we're gonna, make sure you get a little something for your trouble. Exactly. Who needs software developers? Let's see. He won twice. Hold on. What? The Bismarck. Oh, another trust. It was a different trust. The WJW Invest 06. I don't know. Maybe they're reaching on this. I'm not sure. This laundry is always open. That's funny. That's funny. Oh my God, it's gotten late already, guys. So late. I can't really go too far past the mark today. So let's switch gears for the rest of the show. We're going to watch this thing from James Lee. Let's see. Is Gavin Newsom stealing from fire victims? Did you guys see this story? Again, this is a story that came out actually a few months ago. So this is not a brand new story, but it is getting more traction. There was a concert, fire aid concert for fire victims of the LA fires. And there seems to be renewed interest in what is going on with this story. And I've seen several articles about it, and James Lee did a breakdown. So we're going to listen to this. And guys, if you like the show, if you want to support the show, you know how to do it. Lots of ways to support the show in the description box of whatever platform you're watching on. All the usual methods are there: PayPal, Venmo, CashApp, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-Fi, etc., etc., etc. Many of you support the show on the regular. You know who you are, and I appreciate you there. I appreciate you. All right, let's listen to this.
Is Gavin Newsom stealing money from fire victims?
So Gavin Newsom and his wife actually created an organization just to steal some of the fire aid money.
Whoa, is that true? Technically, no. Fact checkers say Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, not Newsom, created the California Volunteers, also known as Cal Volunteers, back in 2006. But what is true, and this is according to a tweet from Cal Volunteers, and they say that the nonprofit California Volunteers Fund has been publicly identified as a potential grantee. And while they are independent of them, they do financially support volunteer efforts in California, including their programs. So to help translate that, no, we didn't get any funding, but the nonprofit that helps financially support us, they did get that money. Got it. And according to Spencer Pratt, who lost his home in the Palisades fire, the fire aid website has since been scrubbed of all mention of Cal Volunteers.
Oh, of course, Gavin Newsom and his wife called up the fire aid scam, $100 million money laundering. They said, delete it off the website because Spencer posted a screen recording of us on TikTok. So go delete it. They can't know that we took fire victim money for our little made up nonprofit. Go check it out yourself. This person's right. They removed it from the website since yesterday.
So did they get the money or not? We don't know. It's under some kind of internal investigation. But the bigger story here is that the benefit concert money went everywhere except to the actual fire victims. Okay, this picture tells, I think, the entire story of the fire aid concert scam. quote-unquote scam. Posted by the Annenberg Foundation, the caption reads, quote, our CEO Wallace Annenberg joined LA philanthropist and Fire Aid lead concert supporters Steve and Connie Ballmer. They are billionaires who own the Clippers. Fire Aid producers Shelley and Irving Azoff, music moguls, and so many others as Fire Aid raised millions and millions of dollars to help the most impacted and vulnerable victims of the Altadena and Palisades fires. Now, the big problem here is that 6 months later, most of the victims are like, where's that money? We didn't get any of it. So I went through line by line of each charity that the Ballmer Group was already working with. And then I went through line by line the charities who got money through this Fire Aid benefit concert organized by the Ballmer Group. And turns out there are a bunch of overlaps, which I think suggests that the organizers of this event use this as an opportunity to bolster community groups, I will put that in quotations, that are favored by these elite donors instead of focusing on directly helping the victims. For example, why is a music charity getting Fire Aid money? Well, maybe it's because Azoff is a music mogul and he wants to help musicians. You got another Ballmer Group charity here called the Center for Nonprofit Management that's getting Fire Aid money. This is a charity whose mission is to, quote, ensure the health, sustainability, and growth of the nonprofit sector. So you literally have Fire Aid money going to a nonprofit whose primary mission is to consult and make money for other nonprofits. This is just insane. And also, I'm using a lot of quotation marks. I realize that. And if you go to the Fire Aid website and scroll down the list of nonprofits that have received grants, you'll see that most don't have any direct link to the fire nor the affected communities. I mean, look, there's some Israeli-linked charity that is getting money. You guys see what's going on here, right? They could have directly given money to the people, but they didn't because that was never the intent.
Look what I got a hold of. It's an email from the Fire Aid people back in May 16th to the Pacific Palisades Community Council that was trying to figure out where is the Fire Aid money for the Palisades victims, because nobody in the Palisades had seen any. So they reached out, and this is the response here. It's a few pages. So screenshot this, But what's so interesting in the language added at the end of the description of every NGO is in quotes, and beyond. Do you know why they do that? It allows them to completely ignore fire victims, and it gives the and beyond, lets them all off the hook legally. So if this investigation that's going to come, they can say, oh, well, look, we always said and beyond.
I'm telling you, these guys know exactly what they're doing. And I actually had a chance to speak to Chris Wallace, the head PR person at the Ballmer Group. Nice guy, I have to say. And what he told me was that they have the best of intentions, or they had the best of intentions, and they want to be 100% transparent. And it was never meant to be this kind of huge scandal or scam or anything like that. And I will say the truth here is that there is no quote unquote fraud in the sense that a crime has been committed, right? You saw the letter that they put out that Spencer Pratt showed. The language is very precise. It's calculated. And what's going on here is that this is just one big club of rich people pretending to care about a disaster so that they can find ways to transfer that hard-earned money from regular people who wanted to support this concert, support these people, the victims, and they're taking that money to fund the pet projects of their friends and family. That is it. My name is James Lee. This is the 5149 Show. Let me know what your thoughts are about Gavin Newsom, the nonprofit industrial complex, whatever you want to sound off on. The comment section is open. And also, if you are still...
Okay. Good stuff. Not surprising. You're right, Poppy. Business as usual. You would think, where was AI in all this, trying to detect some fraud, right? You're on it, Poppy. Yeah, where is AI really trying to detect the people doing the bad things? It sucks. I'm running out of time, guys, because I had some other things to. Hold on one second. You're good, Keith. I had some other things to cover today, but I'm going to push everything else that I had on the dock to tomorrow because there's quite a few things. I only got through about half of the things I wanted to talk about today, but that's usually how it goes. But I appreciate you guys showing up. Thanks for being here. And let's see. I'm trying to see if I haven't anybody to thank as of yet. Yeah, we'll just be back tomorrow at the regular time. Actually, not tomorrow. Whoops. We're gonna have to slide that to. I'm gonna have to move the show time tomorrow, or either just come back on Thursday, guys. Probably just come back on Thursday. So I'm gonna see you guys on Thursday at the regular time. I have something going on tomorrow, so just gonna have to put these on the back burner for another 48 hours. But my God, where are you at, Gregory? Thanks, Extra Bola. Thanks, Bella. Yeah, I'll be back. Yeah, I forgot I had something going on tomorrow, so I'll be back on Thursday at noon. But thanks for being here. Beware the bear. Mm-hmm.